Hi, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of FPL Pulse Talk. I'm your host, Varun, and I'm buzzing to finally say those words out loud. This podcast has been a dream in the making of all of us, just four mates from similar walks of life, united by the one thing we absolutely love football and, of course, Fantasy Premier League. Each week, we'll be diving into the strategy, team selection, wild rumors, tactical breakdown, and everything that's happening on and off the football pitch. Whether you're chasing your mini leagues or just trying to beat your mates, I'm sure this is going to be your one stop solution. We are here to bring you the passion, the banter, the insights, and hopefully few green arrows along the way. Our goal to grow this podcast to one of the best FPL podcasts out there. And this can only be possible with your support. And with that, let me bring you in the gang. My friends, the legends who made this possible. Boys, how are we feeling?
Awesome, awesome, Varun. Thanks for that wonderful introduction and that energy. Well, hi everybody, whoever is watching or listening to this podcast. I'm Aman. I'm the Chelsea fan in this sea of red on this podcast. And over the season, I'll try to update you all with all the latest that there is with regards to Chelsea. We'll try to track all the other clubs, how they're doing as well, and help you make those FPL decisions along the way. And I'm just so glad to be doing this with all these wonderful people here. And what better to do with your buddies? All of us, we would like to discuss football, and we'll be doing the same on the podcast with you guys now. And we'll be just discussing FPL and football in general, trying to help you all the way through this season. We'd love to hear any suggestions if you have. Feel free to drop any questions or any suggestions in the comment section below. Just absolutely buzzing to be here. How's it going, Vimarsh? What about you?
All good, Aman. After Varun's invigorating introduction, I feel like re-energized now.
Yes.
It's one a.m. at night that we are recording this, but it's absolutely an exciting day for all of us because we've been into this for a long time. I mean, naturally, we've lived together in the same city for a number of years, and we share this same passion of football and fantasy Premier League. So it is absolutely exciting, and I'm just stoked about this. And let's see how this season goes and how things turn out. So yeah, what about you, Brian and Mumo? How do you feel?
Good,
Are you
good,
signing?
good.
Are you signing for United?
I do not want to be honest. But yeah, that would be a great signing to be honest. I would surely keep Vermo in my team if that happens. But yeah, I'm Suraj and I'm Liverpool fan. And we all are actually data scientists. So what you can expect from us is basically we can remove the noise that is there in the data. And especially from my side, I will every game week I will be releasing few of the differential players as per few data points that we pick, and we'll convey that to you. Do not forget to like us, subscribe, and comment.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And I'm super excited to see all of your faces after probably we've been waiting for this journey to kickstart for a long time. And I am glad that we are here at the right moment. And let's dive into what we have specially planned for and stitched together for all of our fans who's going to tag us along in our journey. So this is our EP1, guys. EP1 for the upcoming season 25-26. So what we've thought of, like we'll be sharing you a good team overview from last season, what has happened, what has played out in terms of their XG and the few key data points that are there. And then we also want to deep dive into the opening fixtures that are there and the key things or the pattern we are already seeing from there. And lastly, we have some key section, especially for Aman, because he's the one we are trying to beat. He's been the one consistently getting good ranks in FPL. He's finished in top 5K once, top 10K twice. So that's surely the credentials that you are looking for from an insights point of view. So he has something to share from his strategy, and that's going to be our quick pod this time around. And we'll be touching on key topics, interesting insights throughout the season. And each week you'll hear from us, you'll see our faces together, and we'll bring the best possible information that is there. Yeah. All right. Now moving to the section that we had First is in just giving you an overview. I know these are a lot of data numbers, but we all of us are here to break it down for you guys. We have all the key teams that are in the next upcoming season also, and we want to deep dive into these numbers from last season and what we can interpret from these numbers, whether these are clear reflection of what they did or there's something more to that. So I wanted to give Vimarsh the platform right now to start off with Manchester United because just before the pod, this was a hot topic, and I want to carry forward that discussion. Why don't you go ahead, Vimash?
Oh no, I mean there's not much to speak about Manchester United in general. I mean we've had a dismal season, and I can see the smiles on all your faces. But I mean it's been a number of years now that us Manchester United fans have been starting the season off with high hopes. I mean with all the manager changes and with all the things that have been happening in general. But I mean the last season was absolutely I mean hopeless to say the very least. But the good thing is that we've signed one new player. That seems to be a big ray of hope, and we are in almost gonna sign the deal with our friend here who's on the podcast, Embumo. So so let's see how that goes. But that would make for a formidable attack for Manchester United. I mean, in terms of even the numbers, if you see this table here, you'll see that Manchester United in general have like underperformed in all these factors, right? Be it XG, be it XA, like they've done less than the XG or less than the XA, and there's not much that needs to be said about it. It is what it is. So yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts, guys? What do you think is going to be the outlook for United going forward with Amorim?
Yeah, so I was saying if they can stabilize something with Cunha and Mbumo, potentially Mbumo is also going to sign in upcoming weeks. So I think that is going to bring in some stability and improve these numbers that we are seeing because that is obviously not United standard that we've seen. Even though, like, even if we consider they're one of the worst season, I think they've still been slightly better than this. I know last season is kind of a transition one for Amorim and trying to establish his philosophy. So yes, I think and we'll be keeping our tabs on, but I think obviously a team to be very cautious at the start of the season from an FPL standpoint. Yeah.
What about your wonderful neighbors from Manchester, Vimarsh?
I mean, the kind of disappointing season they had. I wish we could have that sort of a disappointing season, but but I think there's a huge difference between the disappointment levels for both the teams. But I think yeah, Manchester City, although everyone's been saying they had a disappointing season, I mean, it's just I think it's just an off case. I think they're gonna come back strong with all the signings that they've done now, with the reinforcements that they have, and the formidable attack, the formidable midfield that they have now. I think it's gonna be. I think they're gonna start the season with all guns blazing as they always do. Um, I mean, Haaland is there. You have Rodri is back. I mean, Rodri missing most of the last season was a huge hit that City had to take. And I mean, if you look at the numbers for City, City was there at the top with almost all the other teams. I mean, Arsenal and Liverpool in terms of all sorts of stats, right? In terms of like possession, it was the top team. In terms of touches in the opposition box, chances created, and all these sort of stats, they were there right at the top. It's just that they just lost some games towards the end, and I mean, it was just a bit unlucky for them. And let's see how it goes with the new signing. Reinders is there as well to reinforce the midfield and add some more flair to it. And yeah, Ait Nouri is a good signing as well for City, and
Yeah.
it's going to be very exciting how these players start of the season and play the season, and it'll be much more exciting in terms of FPL to see which players are like fixed into the team so that we can select them. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I think Vimarsh skipped the mention of Ryan Cherki, so I think that will be also key. They've been trying multiple things on that particular flank, so I think that can be one outlet for Haaland again, which he's been lacking. And midfield, as you said, Rodri is back, Reinders is there, so
Yeah.
Haaland just needs a proper delivery to get those numbers back, which he started the season with, and the previous season to that was like so. I think just a moment. I think it's going to be floodgates open as we always do see with Man City. So yeah, again, I'm expecting a really strong season from them. All right. I think next, let's take from the top teams. If been talking about City, so the one team that has been challenging City and has been behind them, knocking their doors all the time is Liverpool. So talking about them, I think the last season, no one expected them. Like given Jurgen was going, Slot came in, no one is expecting the title to come in. But yes, after being the champions and being champions comprehensively, I know it was down to Arsenal not putting in the same numbers, putting in the same tactics by the later half of the season. Obviously, injury struck as well, but something that was expected to them that they will challenge us till right the end, but that could not happen. But if I have to just talk purely from the numbers, these numbers are skewed because of how Salah performed last season. Liverpool still, as a whole system, are very much reliant on him performing week in, week out. Last season, we did see spikes of Diaz and Gakpo turning up, but from a central attacking standpoint, I didn't think they could do much. Trent was also injured for a brief period, so there was phases when we were lacking creativity. Soboslai also picked up form later half of the season. So inconsistency is there. I think few position where they are good is like Ryan Gravenberch with in the DM role has clearly stood out. But I think now with the reinforcement in terms of we've really replaced Trent with Frimpong. I think still Bradley will be given the initial run of forms to assess how Frimpong can adapt to the system, but Florian Wirtz is, I think, the standout signing that we've already done. Could play a false nine role, could also exchange position with Soboslai, but I think he can fill up that gap of the over reliance on Salah and take up some responsibility of creativity and scoring those goals. He's had consistently scored 10 plus goals in both the season and the Bundesliga, has been player of the season. So a marquee signing like that is a statement move. And I think whatever XG numbers that we are seeing, so Liverpool, if they have to solidify this over performance, I think having those kind of players in your lineup and even Kirk as from the from the other wing now is also a good situation that we've been from the start of the season, a proven PL player from last season. Even in a substandard team like Bournemouth, he's outperformed, I would say. So yeah, I think signs are good. We can even start with them, double up or triple up, given the run of fixtures they have. It's just to see how tempting the price points are. Key thing would be how Salah is priced and Florian Wirtz are priced if they can double up with them, because that's what I think everyone would be eyeing in. But yeah, happy to hear your thoughts, Suraj, Aman, anyone, if you want to chime in, whatever you think about Liverpool season and can they hold on this performance?
I think they surely will. Signing words is a crazy enough signing for this summer that has happened. I do not have any complaint with Liverpool this season with regards to signing, to be honest. They have started with a bang, and I think that there could be couple of more signings that we do. Let's see where it goes. But as you said, we can surely have two or three players at the start in our
Yeah,
FPL
and
teams.
just a exciting pointer that we were even discussing when we were looking out how penalties obviously aid your FPL performance and why Salah was stand out there. And if you compare the XG and non-X no, NPXG for Liverpool, that's a difference of almost seven, which is not there. You'll see Brighton up there next, which is because of Pedro creating it. So it's that is also one clinical aspect that they, even if there are games in deadlock, they have an edge over other teams that they get situation like spot kicks and in good positions or penalty kicks from their play, the counter attacking play. So I think not much has changed from Jurgen's style on the attacking side, but that is one thing that is consistent. And obviously, a Salah like confident penalty taker adds value there. All right. Moving forward, if I think we can pivot to Arsenal maybe, or if like we can. I also wanted to talk about Newcastle for a couple of minutes just to highlight. I think if I have to talk about one of the stable teams from last season, even if I have to compare first half of the season and the second half of the season, this is the team I have not seen. a dip in performance. They've been quite consistent. They've got the results that they ideally should be getting. And I think the combination, whatever they've tried on the flanks, like either it be Murphy on the right with Gordon or Barnes on the left and Isak in the center, how Joe Linton and Sandro Tonali stabilize their midfield. I think all in all, they did really well, and that system was working. That is, and they're able to retain that particular thing for the upcoming season as well. So that is clearly reflective in their XG over performance. They whatever they're trying from those flanks in terms of crosses or anything, they have that clinical instinct, I think. And I think that constant theme is going to be visible in the next half of the season also. The only caveat or like the one pain point that I'm seeing from them is that they've also performed worse than their XGC. So they've conceded more goals, given the fact that we've trusted, or kind of from an eye test perspective, we've kind of trust Newcastle as a good defense also. But if we see those numbers, that is where they've conceded more. They could not keep the same number of clean sheets. The wing backs were shuffling because of injuries, so that is one area. If we think of doubling up, then it could be a combination of a defender or a striker that we've usually tried last season, but it could be like again a Gordon or Barnes or Isak, because I think Isak is still going to be a season keeper next season, barring his injury concern. So that has been one stable team from my angle, and I think they will be on my radar when I'm starting with my template building for the next season as well. Yeah, yeah, I think pretty much from my end, like I wanted to cover these two teams. So Aman, if you want to talk about, or Suraj, you can talk about Arsenal. Maybe I've heard you were putting in some pointers around there.
Aman can start, and I can go next.
Sure, no worries. So let's talk about Chelsea, guys. Obviously, you know, we had an amazing start to the previous season. Uh, we were consistently in the second position. Like there were a little bit of light bantering that we are almost challenging for the title initially. But yeah, like the second half of the season sort of almost not just reverted to the mean, but it actually dipped further down. So we didn't have a great season, but thankfully we ended up in the Champions League spots. But yeah, overall, Chelsea did show a lot of promise last season. We had the second highest number of chance created and probably the highest number of big chance creations. So that's something to talk about. And it's the only thing that we're lacking is clearly visible in the XG and the actual goals that we ended up scoring, and we severely underperformed as compared to any other team. So we should have actually ended up scoring some 8 or 10 goals more than we did, and that's clearly a function of Jackson or our other forwards not really converting their chances. We were creating Cole Palmer and our midfield were creating those chances for them, but they were not really able to control the ball in that final third, or rather the box, and convert them. So yeah, with the signings that we have this season, in the form of Liam Delap, who's coming in, he's a shrewd signing and a proven Premier League forward. He's played under Maresca, so I'm expecting an immediate impact from him. Jackson's going to be suspended for the first game week. He's carrying a red card from the previous season, so there's a high chance that Delap actually starts the first game week. So it would be an interesting discussion when we end up talking about our game week one teams. And then we're also bringing in the likes of Jamie Gittins from Dortmund, and that flank was taken up by Sancho last season. So we wanted somebody who is good on both feet, and he can dribble and create those chances. And basically, what we lacked last season was performance against low blocks. By the second half of the season, every team understood how to face us, how to restrict us. We were facing a lot of low blocks and we were not able to break them down. So we need players who can create magic. Somebody like a Doku, who like Manchester City have, and they in their arsenal, and they can just bring him on, sub him in, and he has that impact. And I was comparing, I was looking at stats. Jamie Gittins actually has the second highest number of successful dribbles after Doku in the whole of Europe. So it's clearly a specific kind of create dribbling and a creative winger profile that we have gone after in Jamie Kittens, and I think he'll have some impact. And then we also have Pedro coming in. Same way, like he can take some load off of Palmer sometime, and he can provide that magic in and that big match impact that he usually does. So yeah, overall very excited for the Chelsea team that we have this season. And just one last point, uh, we have also have immense talent coming in from Brazil in the form of Paes and Estevao. Estevao is actually being considered a generational talent, some like highly touted young player. He from Palmeiras, and he'll be coming into our team. Let's see how he's being integrated, whether he comes directly into the first team or how long it takes. But yeah, absolutely buzzing about this season in terms of Chelsea. Hopefully,
Plus
for
one to
yeah, and if we can show the drop off from last season,
plus one to that
uh,
Brazilian point where you have João Pedro as well.
yeah,
Mhm.
we're really interested in the Brazilian players, Brazilian young players. It seems now.
And I just
Uh,
wanted to highlight, I think Chelsea did still better on the defensive aspect if you see their XGC and goals considered, which was not the case with Liverpool. I mean, considering they were the top team, Liverpool have been leaky and they've given goals like you would not expect from a champion team. But I think one aspect that I even like about Chelsea, even though they've not have the correct combination of back four or a stable, consistent, but they've somehow nailed. I think Maresca has been able to put in some belief or some system in place there, which I think if gets solidified even further next season will be a standout thing for Chelsea too if they like are targeting top four or top three finish.
yeah, yeah, we've actually been the third best defense last season, surprisingly, in terms of goals conceded. So
Yeah.
that goes for some to say for something. I'm just hoping we're able to find a solution in the goal. uh, Robert Sanchez is clearly an under par a goalkeeper, and he does not induce any kind of a confidence. Every Chelsea fan will say that. I hope like we're able to sign Maignan from AC Milan. Fingers crossed. But yeah, one interesting fact that I wanted to show for Chelsea, which goes to show, that's a team we should be really focusing on for our game week one FPL as well. If
Mhm.
we can, look at that difference in terms of the, uh, you know, first half of the last season and the second half of the last season. If we can look at that graph once. Yeah. So you see Chelsea right up there in green, which is the first half of the season, right? Right after Liverpool in terms of non-penalty XG, expected goals, and the actual goals, non-penalty goals, right on the money, you know. And then there's this absolutely, it's like a story of two halves wherein we drop like crazy in the second half of the season, which you can notice on the bottom left side in red. So yeah, that's a clear drop off that we had. It was also due to injuries to Jackson and Palmer's form dropping off in the second half. But yeah, hopefully we're able to solve that situation this time.
I think even Aston was a interesting point there. Aman, any
Yeah.
thoughts on Aston's performance?
Aston, one clear, standout about Aston is they're a beast at home. It's a fortress.
Mhm.
As Villa is a fortress. You can't go and win easily over there. Uh, and in terms of attack, Watkins did what he did, but earlier on his minutes were not as secured till John Duran was there, and then things started falling in place. And actually, Watkins ended up on 16 goals in the previous season. So uh, interestingly, Aston Villa should be in our thoughts because for the first game week, because they have an amazing run initially, which we'll discuss in detail later. But a couple of players that are very interesting from there is obviously Watkins in the forward line, and especially Rogers. He was, that enabler for us last season. His price is going to be a little bit higher, I suppose, this season, obviously, with the performances he put in, but it would be still an interesting pick. And if we want to keep a Aston Villa cover in our team, and we're not able to somehow fit in Watkins, because Watkins will be competing with Isak again in that same price bracket this season. So yeah,
I think defense
interested
of
in how
Aston
it will
will be
do.
a challenge now because I think Vimash, do you think Martinez is going to come to United or like you good with Onana? Because
In
Onana,
I mean, I would prefer anyone. I would go keep the goal myself in place of Unai if need be. But I think Onana has had a huge number of chances to prove his worth, but I don't think he fits here. So I think we definitely need a better goalkeeper, and I think Martinez is a world-class goalkeeper. I mean, he's already won the World Cup and he's proven himself here and there. I mean, he has his cases where he goes out of line sometimes, but I think that's all right as long as he can keep the goal for us if that happens. But I think it's
I
a
think
different scenario right now. Yeah.
he goes with your bad persona kind of players you're going after, especially after
Cunha.
Cunha, right? Like
Yeah,
he would be a good fit to the
probably,
team.
probably.
Okay, let's move on to Arsenal then.
yep.
Why
Okay.
not? Yes.
Okay, so Arsenal started off well in the first half, but the dip came after that, and most of it can be attributed to the injuries. But let's see what worked for them. They were defensively solid, to be honest. If you see the clean sheets and the goal conceded, they have conceded the goal. It's just 34 minimum in the league. Clean sheets around 13, which is very good. And I wanted to point out, even though there were injuries to the defenders as well. So let's say Gabriel and White. Gabriel didn't play 10 of those. Gabriel didn't start actually 10 of those matches, and White didn't start 21. Still, they managed to keep this defensive numbers, which is very lucrative, to be honest. And what they lacked is basically they were able to create chances, but what I think they were not clinical at the final third of the pitch. They couldn't convert those, and once and the injury to Saka, Havertz, and Odegaard clearly showed that effect. There were young talents who actually stepped up, like Nwaneri, who had 26 PL appearance because of the injury to the squad, and Lewis Skelly as well, and Merino, who played a pivotal role over there. Apart from that, if we talk about their current run of fixtures in this season, it's decent enough. I wouldn't call it great. Their first two fixtures are City and Liverpool, I think, which sorry, out of the first 6 game weeks, they play City, Liverpool, and Newcastle. And that's something which I won't do double defense. I won't go double defense at the start, but I'll surely have one defense at least, and maybe one attacker in form of Saka. That's with Arsenal. And anything else you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, just to add on to that, I mean, the points that you mentioned, I think last season it was very difficult for Arsenal to score goals. I was reading a stat that said that I think after a long time, and the 20 odd years or something like that, that there was nobody in the team who scored more than 10 goals. Because I think Havertz had 9, and I think Martinelli had 8 odd, Saka had 6, and he was injured for most of the season. So nobody was able to score more than 10 goals. So I think they have a similar problem, although they are much better placed than United, but they have a similar problem like United. There's no one to finish, right? So that just end it just ends up there's a very huge scarcity of goals, right? And in the end, you need goals to win matches. You can see they were the best team in terms of defense, right? They conceded the least number of goals, but that doesn't win you matches. You have to score goals. So I think
Mhm.
Sesko or Gyökeres, whoever they're after, they need a good forward, and yeah, I mean,
I
let's see
mean,
what
I'm
happens.
just looking at Arsenal shots on target, and it's lower than the teams like Spurs.
It's not in top five. They're not in
Yeah,
top
it's
five.
not in top five. So I think that is one highlight that
But
at
interesting
least
thing to
that is
note,
one.
the shot in box is quite high. It's I think second or third if I'm not wrong. They're 400 shot in
Hmm.
box, but that's what the clinical finish which the main team
Yeah,
brings, that was not there.
they are in the opposition box all the time. Actually, they are third highest for touches in the opposition box, but they are just not able to find a way to convert those chances. Basically, so yeah. One more thing, which has been a key standout for Arsenal last season, has been their efficiency with corners. They have,
Hmm.
earned the third most corners amongst all teams, and I think probably also have the best conversion rate from corners.
Yeah.
Uh, Gabriel came in clutch so many times for us. Not, I mean,
Yes.
at least I think 3 to 4 times he scored those amazing headers, especially in the first half of the season. So they're always a threat from set pieces. So that's something that they've been really good at. Let's
Yeah.
hope with a new striker things become more interesting
I think
for them.
Liverpool, City, and Arsenal were the top three teams in terms of the goals, right? I think they each of them had like 253, 252, or 251 corners apiece, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
So huge number of corners. And yeah,
yeah,
let's see
But
how
yeah,
it
I think
goes.
uh, Gabriel is a good asset when we were,
Yes.
and Saliba as well. Is Gabriel back fit? Because I think he missed the last end of the season, but I think the preseason would be enough for his recovery.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep, yep.
All
Uh,
right.
One team to talk about is
mhm.
the overperformer of the season. I think it's Nottingham Forest, guys,
Yep.
and looks like they again have a juicy run at the start of the season. Uh, it would be interesting to see whether Wood again is a pick that everybody will blindly trust. I don't think anybody went for him. Like, it was not the majority who went for him early on, but everybody caught on to that train soon enough.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, with the runs, with the fixtures out there, and the knowledge of how much Wood overperforms his XG, it's interesting to see how we'll assess this team. What do you think, Varun, Suraj, about Nottingham
I
Forest?
think Wood is there, but even though he missed some bit of that season, so both of them together as a striking combination will still make this numbers. I think like we can still feel that their numbers will be stable, but always feel Nuno's setup has been kind of always a defensive one. These are all like we're seeing overperformance to XG because of they always look for those counter opportunities. When the other team is kind of like switching off for a minute or so, and that's where Wood pops up and like heading and like they are targeting the weakness and they're just looking for just one or two chances where they can big chances where they're good at converting. So yes, obviously a good uh, player to look at in terms of Chris Wood, but I think I would still be looking them from more of a like a sales pick if not Wood, like always keeping a tabs on the defensive because I missed out on some of their defenders' goals as well, which were key uh, rank gainers at the end of the pivotal end of the season. So that's one area that I'm also targeting. Then the defending numbers are also good, like they're in terms of 13 clean sheets, like as good as Arsenal. So Sells was there contributing. And I think their back four is kind of stable as well. It's very rare with all other PL teams they having a four combination that is stable week in week out. That is very important when you are going in a Premier League season.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think.
just to add to it, I mean, the overperformance point that Aman had raised earlier. I mean, it's interesting to note that out of the top three players whose XG versus goals is highest, Chris Wood is second. So that just explains like he scored a huge number of goals, more than what was expected from him. So it'll be interesting to see how he starts the next season. If he keeps on performing like he performed last season, that would be a great thing.
Yeah,
Mm,
I
right.
personally, I will be cautious a bit because they overperformed in their attacking as well as defensive numbers. So if you see their X clean sheet versus clean sheet that actual clean sheet that they have kept, it's 13 clean sheet versus 10, which was expected. And
Yeah,
all given to Cells and their defense. But I think Cells played a pivotal role over there.
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
all the
yeah, and
defenders as well. Yeah.
they are interesting stat again. Like, they had the highest clearances per match for any team in the Premier League. They had 31 clearances, That's insane.
I
And
think Murillo must have been must have had a huge factor in that as
So
well.
yeah,
are these in shape of long balls you are suggesting? Because I think that's where they're targeting that they just drop the ball in near to the box and Callum Hudson-Odoi or like someone's gonna pop up and prepare wood for something. I think
no,
that's
I'm talking about the
indicative.
clearances,
Defensive
not
clearances.
Okay,
crosses.
okay,
So it's the defensive start. It means that, they were conceding those chances, whether it was through long balls or,
Through balls.
normal passes, but,
okay.
uh, they were able to clear a lot of them. So clearly, their backline is well oiled, well managed, and it's very reliable. And that's been key to them keeping, the highest number of clean sheets along with
Yeah.
Arsenal and Newcastle United as well.
And they scored a good
Uh,
number of goals to the
Not
defenders.
highest. I think Liverpool had the highest clean sheets, right? 14.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's move on to next slide. Or do you want to pick few of them before
I think
we?
we can pick up from the next slide only something
Yeah.
that I wanted to highlight. So the overperformance of Crystal Palace in the second half of the season, I think they just turned into a different machine. You can see Crystal Palace was bottom up there, not doing much from their XG or the non-pen XG. And then in the next half of the season, their non-pen XG almost increased by 32, and it was lower than 26 in the first half of the season. So that's one again the team that is overperforming their numbers. And I think the other team that shaped their performance, stabilized their performance, I would say, was Brighton in the second half of the season. The goals that they scored in the second half, I think overall goals were equal to Liverpool, but I think non-pen goals is where they was slightly behind them. But if you look at the second half of the season, especially the last 15 games, Brighton scored almost same amount of goal as Liverpool, which says
Yeah.
something. So obviously Pedro is going, but they have Rutter, they have enforcement ready. So I think Brighton is a good team. Again, like one of the picks that we always look for differentials in a span of a small window. If you're looking at teams like I think Palace and Brighton again would pop up as those opportunities.
Yeah. Palace had the highest points in a season ever in the Premier League, 53 points.
So
So
Glasner
they,
is
they
doing
had
his job.
yeah, so they had an epic season. So
Yeah, they had records. They won FA League, FA Cup. I
yeah,
mean,
that too. How
Yeah.
can you forget that? That was massive.
Again, the only trophyless team was Arsenal.
Even City, I
Yeah,
think, after 2016, City won nothing for the first time, I think, if I'm not
right.
wrong. Yeah.
Good change. I love
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I think,
And
yeah, that's one team none of us are personally a fan of, just because they're just too good. That's
Yeah.
why,
yeah,
just
yeah,
too
Even
good.
yeah.
even United won nothing this time. They normally win something, either Carabao or the FA Cup or something. They also won nothing this time.
Let's move to the next section that we have in the Premier League team zone of control. Vimarsh?
Yeah, so this section, we've just targeted some of the top teams from the last season, and we've just tried to show their areas of dominance. You can see that all these six visuals are colored in different colors. There are purple patches, there are pink patches, and there are gray patches. So in the purple patches, if you just look at the first visual for Liverpool, the purple patches show where the areas where Liverpool kind of dominated in very simple terms, and the pink ones show where the opposition dominated over the course of the season, and the gray squares show contested areas where neither of the teams were like clearly dominating, right? So what these visuals do is they kind of give us an idea of how these teams performed in different areas of the field, and we can also have a discussion around the fact that how they've kind of how their reinforcements are kind of in line with these areas of dominance. So if you just start with Liverpool, right, you can see the front. So just to be clear on the fact that the if you look at Liverpool, the right side is the opposition box, the left side is Liverpool's box, right? So from left to right is Liverpool's attack, right? So you can see the front right flank is obviously dominated by Salah. So I mean, there's clear dominance over there, and you can see that the data kind of like backs that up as well. I think where they're kind of reinforcing is the central part. I think Words is a very smart signing in that way, because you can see they're kind of losing their dominance right in front of the goal. So I think that's going to reinforce that. Another interesting thing, and I think it's one of the smartest signings by any team in this particular season, has been of Kirkis. So fun fact is that last season, Kirkis was the second highest cross had the second highest cross delivery the entire season from Bournemouth, right? Just after Anthony Robinson from Fulham. So you can see, considering Andy Robertson didn't have a very good season. I mean, he was losing the ball, losing possession a lot of times. He didn't look in his element. I mean, I think he's way past his prime now. And I think Kirkes is a perfect replacement for Robertson, because he's going to deliver crosses from with the same intensity that Robertson once used to deliver in combination with Trent when they used to like attack on both flanks, peak of Klopp Liverpool era, right? So that just explains Liverpool's pitch. If you look at City is, I mean, it's just clear dominance. You can see it's purple patches everywhere. So I don't think we need to talk too much about Manchester City. They're like clearly dominating everywhere. Even their flanks, they're contested. The opponents are not dominating. So it's just an intuitive explanation for that. If you look at Arsenal's wing backs or fullbacks, they're not as in control on the pitch. You can see there are pink patches on both sides of the Arsenal defense, right? So I think reinforcements there would help them. And also you can see right in front of goal, they're not very dominating. I think part of this you can attribute to Odegaard's injury or their midfield problems in general. So yeah, I mean, I think having a forward, signing a forward would end some of Arsenal's woes in terms of finishing. Uh, I mean, if you move to Newcastle United, you can see both the flanks are purple, right? So they've been dominating on both the flanks. On the left flank, as I think Varun had mentioned earlier, be it Harvey Barnes or Gordon on the left and Murphy on the right. Obviously, Isaac in the center is there. You can see the defense is highly contested, but I don't think it was very highly dominated by the opposition. Considering there was Joe Linton for the presses and Tonali was also there in the midfield. So yeah, I mean Newcastle United. If you look at Aston Villa is a very confusing one. I mean the front left, they've been attacking from the front left. All the other parts in the opposition half, they've not been that like very dominant. So any I mean I've been speaking about five teams of now. Do you have any points to add? Anyone, Varun, Suraj, Aman, anything to add there?
Just one caveat over there. So Arsenal and Newcastle defensive pink lines that are great that you see in the map. It's actually due to the injuries. Because Newcastle
Yeah,
also have faced a lot of defensive injury. If I talk
the
about
Trippier.
Botman, he was out
Yeah,
for the whole season. Lascelles, he was out for 6 to 8 months. So yeah,
right. That's a
that's the only call out. Yeah.
that's a very good point. So yeah, I mean the only remaining team that we can look at is Chelsea now. I mean, I think even Chelsea has been massively dominating. I mean, in the midfield at least, and on the left flank. I think with Reece James coming back, being fit, I think they might dominate on the right flank as well now. And I mean, you can see they have a bit of a pink patch right in front of goal. I think that you can attribute that to the dip in form of Cole Palmer. I think Cole Palmer is a very important cog in Chelsea's wheel. I mean, one of the most important cogs, if not the most important. So I think his dip
Hmm.
in form might have contributed to the fact that Chelsea were not able to dominate touches too much in front of goal, or they were losing possession over there. But yeah,
Yeah, actually, we had a lot of touches and goal,
yeah,
one of the highest, but it's just that the conversion was just poor. We lost, ball over there in that area quite a lot.
yeah,
So that's been one of the key concerns. And interestingly, if you see, we're just about 80% there in completing the same map as Manchester City.
exactly. That's
We're
what I said.
getting there.
Yeah,
We're
Yeah.
getting there.
I think Reece James
And
So
will do the job. Reece James will
yeah.
should be able to do the part of the job.
but it
Hopefully, if he
speaks
doesn't,
volume about
hopefully if he stays fit. By the way, hopefully
Yeah,
if he
that too.
stays fit.
but
Yeah,
Chelsea's map speaks volume about the like the effort from Enzo and Caicedo. I think it is clearly dominant from that central part,
Yeah,
which is a good point. Even Liverpool are even with Gravenberch form. I think they've lost possession a lot in that particular place, which is has been targeted, which is good from a Chelsea standpoint. And if I think Palmer regains his form, I think it'll be just like City next
yeah. So,
season.
I
yeah,
mean,
and
looking at this, yeah,
I mean, Casado has had what a season he's had,
Yeah,
man. Like, I mean,
Yes.
he's for me, he's really been the player of the team. If not, I'd even consider him above Palmer, considering the consistency with which he's played the entire season. He's been like, so it's like Kante reincarnated for me. He's been like
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
It clearly reminds me of him, and he's been everywhere, making all those interceptions and tackles, and doing
yeah,
it cleanly. That too, he's
yeah.
not
Right.
conceded as much of yellow cards while doing that. So he's been an amazing, amazing performer for us. Hoping for great things from Chelsea this season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
looking at these six graphs, I think for me personally, I think Liverpool has done the smartest signings. If you look at these graphs, just by going looking at these graphs, you look at their weak points and the signings they've done, Kirkers and Wirtz. I think they should be able to replace these pink points with pink patches with purple patches and like dominate these areas of the field. Is what I feel. What do you think, guys?
Chelsea has Liam Delap and Pedro, so I think they have also filled in the
yeah.
right spaces. I don't know why I'm being a Chelsea fan right now, but I think they are doing some good moments and
You're not
hopefully the
alone. Actually, in general, I feel a lot of I'm able to
sentiment is
see.
changing. Yes.
Yeah, the sentiment is very positive Chelsea in general amongst the FPL and football Premier League fans in general. Like, everybody's liking the look of the team, and especially with the kind of young team we're building. Last year we had the youngest
Youngest team,
team Premier
24
League
years or something was the average age.
in history of Premier League, by
Yeah,
the
yeah,
way.
yeah. Correct.
So, and getting into the top four, also
Lot
getting a
of promise.
silverware, by the way, with that team. I feel it was quite some achievement. It
Lot
was,
of promise.
uh,
Lot of
yeah,
promise.
a lot of promise.
All right. So we have our final analytical section, I would say, from a FPL standpoint and just a Premier League overview. We've picked again few teams we were discussing in the previous sections as well. This is more like an hop on hop off journey that we all of four of us have thought about the teams, the fixture we feel could be challenging and not challenging. From an overall standpoint, I think the fixture look good from the key teams that we always like the likes of Liverpool's City are starting the season strong. Arsenal are not. Maybe a risky move would be to go with their place. Game week 7 provides a good window for Arsenal. Aston Villa has a crazy run, barring the first fixture. I think we can still have them on our team. Just load them from game week 2 onwards in the starting 11, and then which is because you are sorted till game week 8 because when you are talking about Aston Villa and then 2 weeks down and then they again have good fixture until game week 14. So Aston has a promising run. They can establish, they solidify their position on the standings initial on. And given the way Emery has set up his team, I think he will get nail out these results by hook or crook in his during his tenure. Chelsea again, we've been talking them about them a lot. Their reinforcement in the forward as well will be interesting to see what Liam Delap is priced at because the fixture run is tasty in terms of having an attacking lineup in your FPL squad, and then they also have a good run from game week 9 to 16, which could be also pivotal. Like it's where you are trying to establish your rank and you are trying to mature yourself in for the season upcoming season, so that's a good window to also have Chelsea. So if their initial run is good, I think I can I can foresee that there will be Chelsea triple up or double up for sure from game week 9 onwards. Liverpool, I know um, talked about, but I think we'll still be contemplating with who to pick along with Salah. So that is going to be just a price point play because I think given what how they played last year with fixtures, I would not rule them out in any of the fixtures. I know we've grayed out few of them, but they have a decent run than comparing to whatever title challenges are there. The other caveat that I want to mention about Liverpool is related to Salah from the game week 17 onwards. We have the most congested period of like in what from what we have in last 3 seasons. We'll be having 5 game weeks from 17 to 22, and these will be all weekend split midweek games. So most congested period as we've always seen the December Christmas period. But the part here is that this is also the time AFCON is starting. So the likes of Marmoush, Salah, Boemo, Kudus is same, which we usually kind of have an eye on or are in our team is where we might not be having them and they have a really good run. So that is one takeaway that we already have from the first fixture run and what we know from the international tournaments that are coming in. Other than
Yeah.
that, I think
Something
Newcastle,
to add, something to
yeah,
add to it. Like, I feel Tottenham would be in the discussion in the
yes,
initial
I was
part
just
of the
coming to that.
season as
Yes,
well. Yeah. So, I mean, not so sure about the attack, about the defense for Tottenham. Although, Thomas Frank coming in, he will solidify that defense. So, a contrary idea would be to actually go for one of the cheap, wing backs like Pedro. With the way they finished last season, it's likely that their prices also drop further down. So,
correct.
in that case, and if if Frank is able to quickly turn them around, it would be a very shrewd kind of a pick in your team early on, where nobody would be really thinking about them. And especially the attack as well, so Solanke becomes an interesting pick, differential kind of a pick in early on. Yeah, any other thoughts, guys, on the
Yeah, I
initial
was
run?
starting about Nottingham as well. I think Chris Wood could be another season starter that we might be keeping, or maybe or maybe we'll get sorted with a defensive goalkeeper position in cells because they also have a decent run. Can rotate well with Newcastle as well because if you see the rotation Nottingham has with Newcastle when they're facing Arsenal, Newcastle facing Wolves, and then when they're having tough fixtures, Newcastle also has a decent run. So that could be a good fixture, goalkeeper
Yeah.
rotational fixture we can obviously think from, and it could be with any other team as well, which like goes about how your playing style is. But yeah, I think these are some of the teams that we feel have a good run. One pattern that we've already noticed and been talked about a lot on Twitter as well is like the game week 15 and 19. The teams are facing the same team in a very small span. So they're the same set of fixtures which are in 15 are again rating repeating in 19. So that is one place where, like, if let's say our best wildcard window seems to be somewhere around 13 and 14, we'll have a close look on how we are positioning because that is where like teams like Liverpool and City are facing the promoted side. So this is where we would like to pack our teams with like double Liverpool, double City kind of theme or triple Liverpool, double or vice versa. So that's one key insight that we already have. And I think given the run of fixtures we have, we might see a different pattern of these fixture difficulties, how these teams start their season. But I think from what we've seen in the previous season, I think if we even are considering at this window for the first half of the season, I think we can be in a fairly good shape if the combination is based on the windows that we are aligning here. What do you think?
Just adding one last point here, which I'm able to observe is I think game week 6 also becomes a very, very interesting wildcard window if somebody wants to, take the initiative or be a little bit proactive. If you see Arsenal's fixture are changing right from game week
Hmm.
7 onwards, and you once they change and if they hit form, you'd probably not want to, lose their players anyway with the kind of team they are. Same goes for City. If you see, uh, City have a great run starting from game week 6. We're all hoping that by game week 6, at least, the more fixed 11, or we were sure, a little bit sure of who is, in the playing 11 more often than not. And, we can make those switches out of, the other teams, like such as if Tottenham is some, we have a few players from Tottenham who, from game week 7 onwards, they don't have as great a run going forward. Same with Nottingham Forest, that game week 7 is again a great window to, hop off from Nottingham Forest
Right.
players. And same goes for Villa. So it's to me, this looks like an interesting early wildcard window, game week 6, game week 7. And then obviously it's, the game week 13 window that we just discussed.
Right. Thanks,
Yeah.
man. All right. I think this was from most of our fixtures related talk, and we'll have more of these this section and like clearly this particular graphic up a long time for multiple times in our upcoming podcast as well, because that's how we plan our season. But now I want to come to the most exciting section and give a shout out to one of the best FPL players I have personally known. FPL managers, I would say, I have personally known. Aman being there, and as you can see, a couple of top 10K finishes and top 3K finish as well, which was one of the fantastic seasons I've seen with him. I know this season clearly well because this was the time we were like sitting together, making teams together, but he was just acing in green game week in, game week out. So Aman, like, you want to say something? I know you might be flattered because we just put in this section at the last minute without telling you, but that's how it
Guys,
is, guys.
it's all right. I think a lot of it has to do with luck. I mean, I do believe last season was a little bit of anomaly, but if you also see my rank last season is actually the worst out of the last six last 5 seasons that I've played FPL, and that has a lot to do with how the first half of my season went. So I feel just barring the last season, all the other ones I've actually had a genuinely good start to the season, a little bit attributed to luck as well. Some of the picks, some of the gut feelings I've had, and some of the key decisions at the right time I've made. But yeah, I mean, this is nothing, guys. Like, we're all same kind of players. The good thing is we all do play slightly differently from each other. So I'm glad, like, we'll be able to offer a little bit different perspective to our audiences with that, with our different playing styles. So yeah, but thanks, guys, for for bringing this up.
So Aman,
But
we have cutted out few questions for you so that it will help us as
Oh,
well as a FPL manager, but it will help our
yeah.
viewers for sure. Varun, do you
I'm not
want to
comfortable
start?
giving out my secrets, guys. Sorry. Just kidding, just kidding. Let's go.
Varun, you want to start?
yeah, so my question has always been to him, like even personally, like I've I've seen him believe in the template a lot, but I've seen him pivot also at a time like it goes unnoticed. Like Aman has pivoted from the template and like he has his own template that he's dealing with, which is again not a very differential one, but obviously like just a pick here or there. So is this something that you always envision?
No, I think definitely for the start of the season, you're right. Like, I do go with a heavily template kind of a squad initially, wherein I'd say maybe somewhere around 80% of my team would be actually template. And I, like everybody else, I am also on the lookout for a few differentials, because that's what gets you those that edge over the other players. But uh, template is, as they say, template is there for a reason, and it's not bad to go with a template. Getting if the template actually works out, you will get a good rank. It's not like that if you don't go for you can only get a better rank by not going for a template. So yeah, I do think I go for the X minutes player, the reliability, the uh, players that have proven themselves in the previous seasons, and add in sprinkle in, the squad with a couple of differential picks, and go with the season as it progresses.
Okay, so I'll ask the next question. What is your preferred starting formation this
I
season?
think that's interesting. I mean, every season, players do contemplate that, and there's two most popular, which is the 3-4-3 and the 3-5-2. Both have their merits. I think keeping a 3-4-3 gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of team structure and how you'll be able to move your funds between your forward line and the midfield. Whereas, if you bank on a 3-5-2, uh, you are obviously potentially increasing the number of points you can score by going for those midfielders. We know that midfielders get that extra clean sheet point and that extra point for a goal scored as well. So there's pros and cons to both, but I think these two are have always been the more popular formations, but of late, I think all of us have been using the 3-4-3. Just a point to this, I was actually late to this whole, you know, insight last season. But if we would have played it better, we would have actually shifted to like something like a 4-3-3 or 5-3-2 kind of a formation at the back. The defense was really doing well for certain teams. I, for one, didn't have any player from Nottingham Forest, for example, and that hurt me a lot.
Mhm.
So yeah, keeping just being mindful of how the game is changing also helps.
So I'll ask the next question. What do you think about chips? What's your outlook on chips? They can make or break your entire season, right?
Absolutely. I think last season we realized, and I think all of us have discussed that we don't need to wait for a double game week to play a triple captainship. And, that was proven last season when we all played in a game week, and it didn't really work out for most of us. Had we played it on Haaland when he was in the purple patch in the initial part of the season, we would have done so much better in terms of a triple captain. But again, triple captain is not as effective a chip, I believe. Just gives you, one time more, like a extra point for a captaincy. So that's not too much of a difference. But yeah, we need to. I always keep track of the double game weeks that might pop up later on in the season. So I'm not one who is very uh, keen on using my chips very early on. A lot of players do that to get that edge. It works out for some of them as well, but I'd like to wait till the time double game weeks do get announced, and I like to play my free hit or bench boost in one of those weeks.
Right. And what
So
is your hit
I'll
strategy?
That's controversial. I think we have the hit
Vimash,
king
were you
amongst us.
asking the same thing? I think I cut you short. Were you asking the same
no,
thing?
I was asking. I was gonna ask about goalkeepers, but the hit strategy is also a good point.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
think
I
I
think
like we are cautious about it. I think the goal of all of us would be to have a hitless season and like go throughout the season without taking a hit. But what's your take? I've seen you taking it very cautiously, like contemplating whether you're going. But Vimarsh is like, even if -8 is there, he will take it for the green arrow.
I
no.
actually used to do that a lot a couple of seasons back, but I think
Yeah.
last this season and last season I barely did any hits. I was absolutely against hits, but this season I did do some number of hits. But I think it's absolutely subjective, right? It depends on the choices you made when you've chosen your wildcard teams or when you've
Yeah.
chosen your first hand team. I think it depends a lot on that. If you've been wise enough in choosing your wildcard teams and your beginning teams to begin with, I think those people tend to have lesser number of hits by default. I think a high number of hits indicates a huge lack of planning sometimes, is what I feel.
Also, if we get into that mentality of chasing points, and
Yeah.
that's the reason most of us end up, and I've been guilty of it myself. And I wanted to point out that, like, Vimarsh actually played the season better in terms of controlling his urges to take those hits last season, even taking less than I did. But I'm not so much against hits, to be honest. I've never been. I feel if we are able to make up those 4 points lost over the game over a span of next few game weeks, it's worthwhile. So you sometimes lose out, or you're behind the pack in terms of the team that everybody has around you, and hits do let you sometimes catch up quickly. Sometimes if you're proactive, they actually provide you an edge as well. So it even one should not be, I'm not reckless with my hits, but I'm also not absolutely hesitant in taking them.
All right. Interesting chat, Aman, and I think these were all intriguing pointers. And having you by our side, I think this time all four of us at least will be in top 50K. That's our
We
goal. And prob
yeah, all of us are wearing red, but I think Aman is the target for all of us this time.
yeah. So let's hope like the season turns out good for us. If it's good for us, I think it will be good for our podcast as well. We want to share the best insights that are out there, structure out the noise, all of you. And I think this was yeah, this is this. We'll wrap it up here now. And guys, last minute thoughts, anything? Oh, how was it? How was your feeling this first spot?
Absolutely fantastic. It is absolutely awesome. We've been following all these YouTube channels for a long, long time, be it FPL Raptor or be it any FPL Mate or be it anyone FPL Wire or anyone. So I think it's good to start something of your own, and yeah, it's very exciting.
I'm fully excited about the FPL season now. Like I think we've
Yeah,
gotten into that zone. We've gotten ourselves excited. There's a lot of signings. We'll have those discussions in the upcoming podcast with the new signings. We'll discuss them in a little bit of detail. Uh, uh, but yeah, can't wait for the price reveals to happen now. So that's the next thing I
the
think.
game is opening
That
soon,
would be
guys. Maybe
really
this week.
really interesting. Yeah, game. It should be announced. The game should be announced very soon. So yeah, absolutely excited.
Yeah, and guys, please let us know what you like about this pod, what you didn't like, so we can improve on it. And thanks everyone.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah,
Bye.
Bye.
All
thanks.
right, take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.